Very, okay, there we go. And that also will take care of this slide. Did you start the recording? Yes, I did. And this conference is sponsored by the Future of AI. They've got some training coming up, so definitely check that out if you're interested in learning more about ChatGPT and AI. So just to make sure you're in the right session and you're not buckled up for 30 minutes without knowing where we're going, I'm hoping to inspire you, highlight some practical uses of AI, hopefully ignite something, share some stories from my school's experience, sparking some ideas for you to consider and adapt, and encourage and give you some tools and best practices for promoting ethical AI use among students and faculty. I've been on this AI journey now for, over a year, and I feel like I haven't heard enough from other people about their actual experiences in schools with AI. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to learn some through my experience. So just a little bit about me. I've been a librarian for the past 8 years, a former middle school science teacher. I spent the last 6 years in Mumbai, India at an international school. Previous to that, I was in Quito, Ecuador at a different international school. And then I'm originally from Minneapolis, so I started my career there, which is also where I am right now. And I have a special interest in the ethical use of AI and making research-based technology decisions. So you'll see throughout the slides that I have lots of different links to different research so that you can go ahead and follow along with the research that I've done and whatnot. So I'll go over a few AI tools. I know at these AI sessions, there's always a large gamut of people that are maybe power users or people just starting. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'll just highlight a few of my favorite uses, talk about my journey with AI at my school, some of the roadblocks we ran into, especially with ethical use, talk about some of the different ethical frameworks that are out there. So there's lots of resources in those slides, some tips and resources, and then time for any questions and answers if we have time. So AI, as we know, is the way of the future. For educators, that means we need to first understand it ourselves. And I believe a lot of us are in this phase right now where we're not so comfortable yet with it, but we are working on it so that we can teach others. And along with that, we need to know about how to use it effectively, how to find the information that you want. Right now, that has a lot to do with, building a good prompt, making sure you're putting in something good to the AI so that you can get something useful that comes out. Then, of course, we have ethical use in terms of citing it and encouraging documentation. I believe documentation goes beyond citations because if you know, like at my school, we're using MLA citations. Right now, for a citation, all you do is put in the prompt, like a heading from the prompt, and that's really not enough information for me to know what the student did with the AI and how much the AI helped. We also need to work on AI literacy, and there's lots of things starting to come out with that. I feel like this whole last year, we were sort of in uncharted, dark, murky waters, and people were sort of lost. But I think this coming year, with all of the resources that are out there, we will have a better path forward, better roadmap. So there are thousands of tools out on the market now. I feel like every day there's something new coming up. How do we choose what to use? I say first, ask others which tools they're using. Talk to people at your school, talk to people at other schools, go on LinkedIn or Facebook groups, wherever you go to network with people and see what they're doing. You can try a few of the different tools, decide what you like, find out how the tool uses your information. Is the platform safe and secure? So as you know, there's been a lot of issues with this, especially with how AI uses the data that we put into it. And this was a big concern, especially with students that are under 18 years old, having access to ChatGPT on their own, and maybe not understanding that ChatGPT can use their information, etc. So different tools are more effective at specific tasks. Keep this in mind when you're selecting a tool. And are students able to use the platform, or is it just for teachers only? This is more related to K-12. Do you have to log in to use the tool? This is another consideration that you can think about. Some of these tools, you don't need to log in at all. So you know that it's not tracking you as much, but it still may be tracking what you put in. So we do need to be careful about how personal we're getting. Um, just some considerations. So some of my favorite tools for educators, of course, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, great for increasing productivity, emails, book reviews, brainstorming for events. These are some of the library things that I did, but it's so helpful for everybody in their daily life. I had a student come up to me and say, can you recommend a book that's like How to Train Your Dragon? And, book recommendations, coming up with something off the top of my head, I love turning to AI to help me out because I just haven't read all of the books. Perplexity is great for getting some more vetted answers, research-based answers. So it's a free AI-powered answer engine that provides trusted and real-time answers to any question with references. So as a librarian, of course, I like that it cites the sources, and these are actual places that you can go. You can see the numbers there in the answer at the end of the sentence, and those are all links that you can actually go and read where it got the information from. Consensus is another great tool. It's an AI search engine for research, and it's there to help you find and understand the best science faster. So I just typed in what is the science of reading. It comes back with a summary from 10 papers. I could also load in my own papers and it would analyze it, come back with answers. So that's definitely a tool to check out. And then finally, Elicit is great to help you for a literature review. And here, once again, you can upload your own PDFs or use the built-in search feature. So I did What is the Science of Reading again, and it came up with the short summary with more citations. So these are more research based. If you type into ChatGPT, it tries to cite research, but it's not always accurate. At least with these, we know we can go to these links and actually read the article. I would love if you have any other suggestions of your favorite tools to put them in the chat. And I see the question here, are these resources free? Some of them are, I would say, freemium, where you have a limit. In the AI world, everything is token based, and how much, information how big your question is or how much you're using the platform, that all costs money. So they'll give you like a little bit for free, but then if you're really going to start using it, you'll have to pay for it. Please put anything in the chat if you like any other AI platforms that you're using, because like I said, one of the best ways to learn is to ask others. So I want to talk a little bit about my school's journey with AI. So I know it came out in November 2022, but we weren't really too concerned with it yet. But by January 2023, we had to say something to the students, and we just banned it. We said AI can't be used. We weren't ready to, make any policy. We didn't know where this was going. Still needed to do more research, which I know is not the most effective thing, but that's just what my school did. But then 2 months later, in March, our school is an international baccalaureate school. So this is an international curriculum that's in about 5,000 schools worldwide. And the head of the Assessment of Principles and Practice said that they're not going to ban the use of ChatGPT. This is the wrong way to deal with innovation. So once that statement came out, it sort of shocked everybody, because I believe at that time the AP, which is the US equivalent, advanced placement, I think at that time they had banned the use of ChatGPT, but here the IB was saying we're not banning it. So we had to figure out what we were going to do about that. So we updated our policy and we said AI can be used with proper citation. However, the privacy policy for ChatGPT at the time doesn't allow use by under 18-year-old students. So we felt we were safe. Like, we knew this was a Band-Aid and that probably the privacy policy was going to change, but we had to say something to the students because they're right there wanting to know if they can or can't use it. And now the IB says that they can use it. So by the next school year, this last school year, we updated our position statement again, and we said that it can be used with proper citation. However, parent permission is required for students 13 plus. I put the link to the slideshow that we gave the students and how to cite AI. Our school uses Noodle Tools. It's just like any other resource management tool where you put in and it'll make the citations for you. And then we also gave some guidance for teachers. In this document, the biggest piece, I think, that was super helpful for teachers, and as you'll see, it says drafted for teachers by the librarians. Here's the thing, at my school, the administrators were not doing hardly anything. They were mostly just ignoring the issue. And teachers were coming to myself and the other librarian asking, what do we do? What do we do? Students are asking us, we don't know what to do. And the teachers didn't really want to go to the principal and ask what to do, so they were coming to us. So then we decided, okay, we're going to put out a statement. We sent it to the principal. They didn't say anything, so we just said, okay, we're going to go with it. But in this statement, I really like this piece here about how should teachers talk with students about suspected plagiarism. Number one, avoid a power struggle. You don't want to start accusing them of doing anything. So we gave some sentence starters like, I'd like to understand your thinking about this section or topic. Please explain what you learned here. So basically, you're trying to ask them if they actually know what they wrote, if they understand the information they wrote, because a lot of times the students they don't know what they wrote because they didn't understand the topic or the assignment and they just copied and pasted from AI. So this section really was helpful for the teachers to remember, don't just go in there guns blazing, like accusing students that they're using AI. Have a conversation, more of a viva voce, and find out what they know about the topic and go from there. So at this time, we were not tracking any permission from parents. We were actively exploring tools that could help us integrate AI and track use. And we signed on with Turnitin for the AI detection component because they were going to be starting to charge for that piece that had been free. Myself and the other librarian had recommended against going for AI detection because we knew that it was unreliable and that it was going to open a whole can of worms, especially because we were in India, where most of the students are second language English learners. And I have a few resources here about AI detection because I can't just tell you that it's not great. Without providing evidence. So there are a few links here that I suggest that you look at. One is a research study out of the University of Maryland. One is sponsored by Anthropic, so definitely be aware that it is a sponsored article, but there are some great pieces of information in here as well as other research studies that are cited. And then I really like this presentation from the Center for Democracy and Technology. It has some really great visuals. And this is something else that we should be keeping in mind is that this whole conversation about did you use AI or not, there's a lot of distrust that is happening, and I could feel it at my school as well. The students feeling accused, the teachers thinking the students used AI. So this piece also I think is really interesting to look at. So definitely go through this study. There's great visuals. It's all there. So last school year, September to June, we had a lot of struggles with how to use AI, which platforms were allowed, how to recognize bias, data usage concerns, which I already mentioned, struggles with the ethical use of AI. Teachers were not able to see how students used AI as the citation was not detailed enough. There wasn't enough information. Turnitin was flagging AI use and teachers had to investigate it. These investigations were time consuming and students mostly just denied using it. And the teachers were required to send template assignments through their LMS system. So they had editing rights and could run draftback, which is a Chrome extension. So you can see how a Google document is actually edited and created. You can see if large chunks of text are copied and pasted in, but there's workarounds on everything. We found a student that ran a bot on his Google Docs that would copy and paste one word at a time. Um, there's there's always a way that students are going to try to hack, one or two students. Very interesting. So, and then teachers were encouraged to create milestones for long-term assignments. And this was really key because having these documented check-ins to see where students were on their assignments, this really helped the accountability piece to figure out if students were doing the work. So in January 2024, we did a pilot project with Flint AI. It's one of the AI tutoring platforms. Basically, you can create a bot. We had big goals of adoption. It mostly didn't catch on despite being a big effort. Out of 150 teachers, we had 6 foreign language teachers, 6 grade 7 social studies teachers use it. They liked it, but not enough to use it for more than one unit. So anytime when you're trying to adopt something, if it is totally out of somebody's workflow and like a big change, it's going to be a struggle for people to catch on. So it didn't work out. I liked Flint as a platform, but for us, it was like too much of a hill to climb at that time. But you can set rules for the tutor and how the students can engage with it. Um, Check it out if you're interested. In April 2024, we created some more formal documents about acceptable use. It said which platforms were allowed to be used with students, but teachers were still not able to assign work that required AI use because our school didn't subscribe to any platform. So I couldn't tell the students that they needed to do some assignment that required the use of ChatGPT, let's say, just because the students are under 18 and the parent permission, and we didn't have any of that. So this is a snapshot of the guidelines that we sent out for the teachers. You can look at that later. And then in May, this is just super recently, we did a pilot project with PowerNotes Plus. And like I mentioned before, we had been using Noodle tools for resource and research management, but we needed something more than just something that was going to organize citations. So this PowerNotes Plus helped us solve a lot of our issues. It helped the students organize their research. They could highlight, they could grab things, they could take notes, add it to an outline, and then they could also use AI. And that was a huge piece for us, is being able to let students use AI in a transparent way, which helped build in some accountability, and teachers were able to authenticate work. Teachers were more on board with this pilot because it was replacing a tool, so it didn't feel like extra work. And creating these milestones was also easier in PowerNotes. So just to give like a little snapshot of the platform, this is like the teacher view, and they can see, how much the students are spent, how much time the students are spending working on their projects. And there's a detailed activity log, which is helpful. Then when they submit their assignment, the system highlights whether information is copied and pasted, whether it came from AI, because you're using AI in the system, whether the student typed it, and if it's a quote from somewhere that they had pulled in, it'll also say, this originally came from this source. And these are all different highlight colors. There's a couple different ways where the AI works, and the teacher can turn this on and off. So they liked that. My thing is you should just allow AI use, because if you don't allow it in the assignment, the students are probably going to use it on the side anyway. But that is a personal preference, of course. So if it's a browser extension as well. So if the students run the extension over a JSTOR article, EBSCO, whatever article, they can get a summary, they can get the research topics that are in there, they can click on research topics, get more links to other resources, and they can do a Q&A. Once they've highlighted, and put some notes into their outline. They can also feed those notes into AI and it can help them write for their paper, or they can just do a general brainstorm open prompting with AI. And this is all tracked in the platform so the student or so the teachers can actually see the entire process of how the student writes the paper. This was a huge thing that we've always struggled with is what are students doing to create their papers? So this helped make things a little bit transparent. This isn't the greatest example, but this is a brainstorm with AI, and I could see how the student edited by deleting this whole thing, and then, they edited it by typing nonsense, but it's just a quick overview. So what we're working on now is wider adoption of PowerNotes Plus, creating some formal training for students on AI use, continue to train teachers, continue to monitor new tools. And the current view we have is that we need to know the student input, like what they put into the AI and how students edited the output from the AI, and let AI do the heavy lifting in the middle. That doesn't always make sense for every assignment, especially if you're a writing teacher and you need to see how students are actually writing. But for a lot of papers, let the AI do the heavy lifting, but the student voice and ideas need to be present in the paper. And it's not really, you're not able to see that unless you have some sort of platform that can track it. So to give you some more resources on different ethical frameworks, well, first I had a question if your school has an AI policy or guidelines, because I've been chatting with quite a few people about this, and I was surprised at how many schools haven't said anything or don't have anything in place, even though we've had a full year of AI use, or at least access to AI. One website that's really great to check out is called Digital Promise, which is it's a nonprofit organization. They've just released this AI literacy framework to understand, evaluate, and use emerging technology. It was released in June, so it's super current. And they've got some great visuals. This is just a screenshot from the website, so you can download these things, the full report, or just basically some nice infographics. AI for Education is also a great place to look. They have lots of infographics and resources there. They have prompt guides. They have all sorts of things. I just picked a couple here to highlight that I thought were useful in terms of making, an academic policy for your school, academic integrity policy. Teach AI also has some great resources. So I put the link there. And then this AI assessment scale came out of a research study, and I know people have really been liking this. We've also told teachers that they need to be explicit when they're going over the assignment with the students, saying where they can and cannot use AI, how much AI can they use. So having some sort of scale is helpful for teachers to be able to be very clear about how much AI can be used on this assignment. And then this is another version of that created by Vera Cubero. So I put that here because I kind of like this one as well. So that's there. There's also 16 states that have particular guidance around it. So I have all the links to their guidance here, as well as the UNESCO guidance. And then final tips and resources. I would say in terms of AI, do some research, find out who are your key stakeholders if you're looking to make some sort of AI policy because maybe your school doesn't have one. How can you get people on board? Don't present a problem without having a solution. Present the plan, ask for feedback and next steps. Keep in mind the curve of technology adoption, which I hadn't necessarily kept in mind when we took on Flint and did a pilot. Let's say we have 100 teachers at our school. Out of 100 teachers, there's going to be 2 that are going to be like super gung-ho, innovative about what they're doing. Then you'll have, a few more early adopters and the early majority. And I would say it's an uphill battle trying to get some new thinking, new ideas to catch on. It really takes a lot of effort. And so the number one tip there is you need support from the administration. Any new tool that changes the way teachers have to do something in their class will be much harder to adopt. Tools that sync with workflows that are already being done are much easier to implement. Offer to partner. This is as a librarian, because I know there are some librarians here, but offer to partner with teachers to teach specific lessons. Focus on early adopters to be your champions. And finally, trying to catch students using AI is a losing battle. Build in milestones for assignments and have a platform that allows teachers to view how students used AI to complete their assignments, because we know they're going to be using it. A few books I would recommend: Co-Intelligence by Ethan Mollick, The AI Classroom by Dan Fitzpatrick, and AI for Educators by Matt Miller. These three books are really a great starting place. So definitely check those out. I really like this open access book as well. These are quite a few different kind of action research or research studies that people have put together into an open access book. I think most of them are higher ed, but they can still translate to K-12 and vice versa. So I put the link there to the open access book. And then just a couple more resources to subscribe and follow. Dan Fitzpatrick, Matt Miller, those are the two authors of those other books. They have newsletters that come out weekly. And then I like the AI School Librarian because I'm a librarian. And then on LinkedIn, I really like Leon Furs and Jason Gulia, who was on the keynote today. So definitely follow them on LinkedIn. And of course, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I post things there. Would love to connect with you as well. So let me check the chat here and just see if I can catch up. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And okay, good. The AI classroom is my Bible. Love that. And co-intelligence, great. These are all really great topics, comments. So as far as AI tools, which we've authorized to use, basically anything where it's inbuilt in the platform. So technically like Canva, the students have accounts. We're allowing Canva. We are allowing PowerNotes Plus. We're allowing anything where the students have their parent permission. But like I said, we can't enforce students to use AI until we have a proper tool in place. And we're looking at implementing PowerNotes Plus because that trial went really well. Our pilot went great. But we're still also looking for a tutoring type of platform. But I think one thing at a time. And I think the teachers are really valuing the PowerNotes Plus aspect where they can see how the students interacted with AI in their papers, because that's sort of a very hot button issue, because especially in grade 12, we have to submit their work to the IB and the teachers have to sign off and authenticate and say, yes, the student did all of this work. So that is, I hope that answers that. We had a committee put together a guiding document. That's great. We had a committee as well, but still the admin weren't, our actual principal and vice principals weren't that involved, which was really kind of a bummer for me. They sort of just said, whatever you come up with, we'll back it, but then didn't really help us very much. Okay, great. I'm thankful that you were all able to come. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any other questions. We've got 1 minute left, so I will let you go and have a great day. Thank you.